You're listening to Anything But Competitive by Geeks First, the show that brings trading card games to life with the latest news, reviews, and table talk. Here's your host, Jacob.
Since we apparently all had fun technical issues, so.
Yay.
And I actually don't even have my laptop in this room because it's in the other room because I was working on some stuff. But yeah, so greetings and welcome back, Alex. Thank you for joining us on the eve of such an auspicious occasion. That's a very fancy words for a not so fancy person wearing a Jurassic Park shirt. However, I will say that, dude, it's been a wild ride to get to, I think, where Flesh and Blood is turning, or has technically turned 6, but they're doing a celebratory thing coming up.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited to see what's going to come through with all the stuff with that birthday stream. I mean, obviously, if anybody is a fan of my channel, you know exactly what I'm most excited for on that stream. But it is crazy to think that I feel like just yesterday we were celebrating the 5th birthday of Flesh and Blood, and now all of a sudden it's their 6th birthday, which means that like Worlds was happening just last year around this time, and we're just like completely. Time has flown by very, very fast.
And funny enough, the 5th anniversary was not without its controversies or controversies, with the special packs and the weird thing. I still actually don't have a sealed one of those packs. I don't know how many of those things exist sealed anymore. Like I got a wrapper, but I never got a sealed pack. So like from the connoisseur of attempting to try to get the sealed collection, I don't think it's ever going to be possible to get a full sealed swath of packs, but I digress.
I'm sure somebody's got them.
I digress. I will provide my kidney. Just kidding. I don't want to do that. That would be horrible. I need my kidney. But yeah, you're right. There was literally, as of filming about 2 hours ago, you got Brian Gottlieb on here talking about, this is a new era of Flesh and Blood, right? And then they show a couple of quick pictures of, the, I guess for lack of a better word, the LSS studio, the back of, essentially what I believe is Pleiades from that first one. Then the LSS, infamous photo of their table or their wall that shows the sets. And if you count it out, there's 2, 4, 6, 8. So there's 8, 16, 17 that they're showing. Which Super Slam was the 17th set, but I don't actually see a history pack box in there, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong, but there are a couple other things that technically it's not a completionist version, but it is the 17th set. I'm getting nitpicky here. I'm being a smart ass, but like, I was sitting here and I picked up my Pleiades deck at the Armory I went to yesterday as an example, and I was looking at like, could I have a sealed collection of all the Armory, like on that second shelf that they have there? And I found out that because I sold the copy that I was keeping sealed because our LGS had no more, and the guy absolutely wanted to get into playing Max, I bought a copy to keep sealed, and I was like, look, man, you need this more than I do on my shelf. I want you to play the game. And now I got to go find another one and go buy it from somebody else, or go buy it from somebody online. And some of those have gotten expensive, like the Jarl's $100. There's some other really wild ones that are out. So I get they're limited, but to make that shelf look as sealed as possible, it shall require a little bit more coinage that I was not originally prepared for. So. But, I think what I'd like to maybe stop blabbing about and ask the most interesting question that I could imagine is, you've been around Fab for quite a while. I know I've been around Fab for a decent chunk of time. And I guess the direction, the boat, the Titanic, the Bismarck, the Lusitania, whatever you want to call it. I know those are all bad. I know those are all ships that sunk. I'm sorry. I did reports on all these ships. They're the only ones that are coming to mind. I'm sure there's better ones that are out there. The HMS something, whatever, USS Enterprise. I'm sure there's some other ones. Anyways, the ship is not going down. That is not the reason I said that. But what I want to kind of ask is it seems like there is a definite different direction kind of beginning to emerge with the where things are going, whether it's from armory decks to the kind of putting the nail in the coffin for, Blitz, rest in pieces. And now we're moving on to supposedly Silver Age trademark question mark, that where do you see the roadmap going for, like, they have the world's their oyster, the world's their book. I am bad at every analogy. Just understand that if you are enjoying this content, I will butcher the English language like the best of them. But where do you see them going? What is the short, middle, and long? What do you think is going to come out of this? It sounds like it's a multi-hour long thing, by the way. So, like, they're going to be big extravaganza. What's your top three things?
I mean, just from the birthday stream that we're expecting, or like overall the course of Flesh and Blood?
Let's start with the birthday stream, and then we'll come back to the 5-10-year plan. The next the 10 year. So what'll happen at year 10? That'll be where we're gonna wrap things.
So, obviously, the thing I'm most excited about is the Silver Age announcement. Obviously, we've been waiting a long time to finally get more information about what Silver Age truly is. Outside of that, we know it was Project Blue and is now called Silver Age.
Does the Discord still exist?
I've talked with a lot of people, and I like the format when it was Project Blue also, but I think we're expecting some changes based on data to come into Silver Age, and I'd be curious what that's all about too. So
now, does the Discord that I guess was around, does that still exist, or did they close that out? The Legend
are you talking about the Legendary Labs one?
Yeah,
the labs is still around. It is still pretty sure. Yep. It is still in fact a Discord you can access. Just nobody can talk in it.
So what was
that's pretty much the change there.
With that, I know there was some sort of pre-Project Blue supposed ban restricted announcement that had some stuff. Where do you see, like, in your elevator pitch, what is the big difference between Project Blue and Blitz? Why, or Silver Age / Project Blue and Blitz, why would they have drawn the line in the sand and said, RIP Blitz, Silver Age is the new steamboat going down the river? What in your idea, like, why is that maybe a good or a bad or a proper or a, like, just what does that do? What does that open up?
Silver Age does two things that I think Blitz doesn't. It allows for a budget way for you to enter Flesh and Blood and still play at a competitive level if these are going to be if they are going to deem Silver Age a competitive viable format like Blitz was.
Okay.
Also, it still does the same thing as what Blitz would be, which is shorter games, but you don't have the same power level as Blitz would. I think at least here in the US market, a lot of players have that same thought process that going into Blitz, not only do you have to spend the same amount of money that you would on a classic constructed deck if you were wanted to be competitive with it, but on top of it, you also could just get blown out. Your opponent could just draw the absolute best hand turn 0, and you could draw a poor hand.
4 items in my puffin deck.
Exactly, right. Like, you draw 4 copper cogs, and you're just like, okay, I guess I die. Like, it is really the power level of Blitz is so much higher. Now, I know that there are some people who do enjoy a fast game where it's like, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, we get to have a little bit of tempo swing, and then finally somebody has it. And that's fine. But I do think that the fear of being just completely shut down over the course of a turn, like, if you thought that the coin flip in a aggro matchup, like aggro v aggro in CC was important, it's so much more important in a blitz game, because if you play aggro and you win the coin flip, you say you go second, you block out everything on your opponent's initial turn, you get to keep 4 cards in your hand and all your armor still, and then you just send everything at your opponent. If your opponent can't, I mean, odds are you're getting sent like 15 to 20 damage in the matter of a turn on average if you're a really high powered aggro deck. And if that happens, how do you crack back when you have 0 cards? Because if you're blocking everything, you know, you can't really do that. And so the opportunity for a tempo swing is so much harder in Blitz than it is in Classic Constructed. And so what Silver Age does is it allows for those things to still occur, but at a much smaller level. And also, they have a more intricate ban list. I'm still not sure if what they have set up is going to be the best moving into this next series, just because I know a lot of the D-reacts were banned. A lot of the kind of power cards for some of the classes were banned. This is based on
Project Blue's list if they kept it the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, right, yeah.
So do you foresee, I guess, you know, understanding that, right? All the existing Blitz decks, I talked a little bit about this. I think you kind of had some conversations on your channel about it. Several other folks, Dice Commando and some others, had some talks about this too. Those products, while technically not any valid anymore because they are not Blitz, they are slot ends for Silver Age if the commons and rares are still usable, aka the hero is not living. But we don't know about the living legend system. We don't know how it's going to apply to this. There's some gray area with that. But assuming everyone gets
I certainly hope there's a living legend system. I hope there is not, because that would make I personally would be very upset with the format if there was a living legend format.
So you think that maybe they might just say, hey, it's going to be a forever kind of like living legend, but Ice Age or Ice Age. Silver Age is going to just possibly be like a forever home for all the Blitz heroes or all the young 20 heroes.
My hope. Yeah, that's my hope, is that, and again, there are some heroes that, if they're keeping to the same rarity specifications as Project Blue, you're still not going to be able to play Shiana in it, or Blaze, or the Emperor,
yep.
Any of those. Yeah, so like there's still some heroes that are missing outside of that, but you know, who knows what happens in the future with all that jazz. So
I mean, even Guinness What You Need or whatever, like those heroes weren't really supported unless you were playing UPF. So maybe that's where they're going to theoretically live, but you know, I don't know. That'll be interesting. I think that's one of my questions for this stream is, what do we read, or what will I read between the lines when they say we are doing this? This is what we're supporting. We are supporting CC and now quote unquote Silver Age with these criteria. And then will we get anything like a big surprise announcement for anything else? I don't think we're going to see PvE, because that was said multiple times that that's not on their docket. You know, I don't think we're going to see any other formats released, but I mean,
yeah,
the box kits seem like those are dead. The hunted collections and stuff. They might have whole new products for Silver Age.
They wouldn't be dead, and they would not be dead if it weren't for the fact that they're listed as Blitz decks. You know, as we mentioned, right? Like, I think that if you allowed for Silver Age to be a prominent way for you to be competitive at like even a tier 2 level, right? Like a ProQuest or whatever, right?
Sure.
You go ahead and make that somewhat competitive, and throw a battle hardened every now and again for it, because it's not like the main CC format. Then those decks become much more viable as a way for people to go, oh, I don't have anything, let me buy one of these decks and we can go ahead and make that happen. Like, you know, they can buy the long boxes if they're trying to get their friends into playing, saying you don't have to really upgrade any of these decks, and if you do, it's like $10 for you to make a really good deck in this format, as opposed to what it was previously, which is you can buy these decks, but then you have to get all the legendaries and majestics and everything, kind of like you would for Classic Constructed. And at that point, you might as well play Classic Constructed, especially if you're here in the States, because nobody plays Blitz out here. So
Yeah. Well, and kind of looking back to, there's some hidden things that people were discussing in the whole teaser video, right? I think I think it was Brian Guiley said like a new era or a new dawn. Somebody said a new dawn somehow,
right.
or whatever.
Dawn of a new era. Yeah.
So if that's the case, dawn meaning possibly like, Dusk Till Dawn, aka Monarch 3, whatever. Are we going there? Are we getting, that leads you to are you getting a necromancer? So like if you were to pick, some other theories, what other theories would you pick from things that they might announce during this? Like, will there be Silver Age product, announcements? Because with the lead time on these, I can kind of piece together why I would see that High Seas did not have a collection if somebody already made a decision that Silver Age is the direction they're going. Like, when I start to backwards piece all this together, some of the timeline kind of makes sense from we're switching gears, but then that also means that they would have to omit or skip a couple of sets, which Super Slam would be a good example of a set to easily skip. For Blitz decks, and technically, I guess Gravy Bones really came in a CC/Blitz deck, and so Pleiades also,
right.
Pleiades also is the CB whatever. So like they really didn't miss out on it, but we don't have a Tough Nut, Blitz deck. We don't have a KO. This is, by the way, this is my new thing. I'm taking. This is what I take to my armories now. It's super useful.
That's pretty sick.
It has all my tokens and everything else, and then I also decided recently, because I was really tired of not knowing things, I made a master copy of one of every adult hero that's been released, so that I could read a hero ability and make sure I knew what was going on. But KO, Tough Nut, Pleiades, and Lyeth. By the way, I would love to see a Lyeth Blitz deck, or a Lyeth, like, that'd be just unhinged, I think. 5 cards.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely, as far as things I would like to see outside of it, I mean, it does note on the article that came out for their 6th birthday stream, they are going to have some key announcements. I'm assuming key announcements does in fact mean at least a teaser for what the next set is. I do know that we got that small High Seas trailer before they actually announced any of the heroes in the set, and that was like a month before that occurred. So if we get a teaser
Worlds is coming up.
Worlds is next month, so that's probably where we'll learn more about the heroes in the next set. We'll get more information on that end because there will be a keynote speech there. So Those are the things I'm expecting. Outside of that, it's honestly just going to be a lot of silly stuff. There's going to be a bunch of other games. They'll probably do what they did with Commoner with Cash last time they did some stuff there. It's a baby.
Yep. She is she's back, and she's bouncing all over the place.
She's crazy. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be too much out of the ordinary for an LSS live event. It's probably going to be just a lot of, I'd imagine, out of the things that are listed here, Silver Age, the key announcements, and the dev talk are probably going to be the things that most people are going to care about. Outside of that, it's probably not going to be anything like
you think the gameplay is going to be Silver Age? Like, let's say they introduce either Silver Age, the rule set. Do you think they're going to have multiple Silver Age battles with each other?
I would hope they at least do a couple Silver Age things for sure. They're probably going to do a lot of that. They have an Armory deck gameplay thing on there too. So there might just be them jamming some other Armory decks, or maybe even like sneakily introducing the Rhinar Armory deck and what's inside of it.
Rhinar Armory deck. Has that been announced yet?
Yeah. The Rhinar and Slippy Armory decks that are coming out later this year.
Oh, apparently I must have missed. Where did that get announced at?
That was at the. Was that at the Pro Tour? The recent Pro Tour? Yeah, pretty sure. But yeah, I'd say that's it there.
Cat climbed on my back. That hurt.
Cat climbing on the back.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I think it might be those. Maybe we'll learn about the Slippy deck too. Unsure, right? But that would be cool to see, like, both of them being played at the same event, or at least the Rhinar one too, because the Rhinar one releases next month, and then Slippy releases in December.
So if the next set, I mean, a lot of people talked about the back of the Fab cards and, you know, how there's the symbols and whatnot. Do you think that we are going to? I mean, we kind of had Super Slam is kind of like a Savage Lands, and I know a lot of people still want a dedicated Savage Lands, but you know, with them teasing, you know, Necromancer from High Seas and some other stuff, could there? I mean, not that they'd introduce another class this fast. That'd be kind of wild if they did, but you know, instead of maybe like a Shaman or something, like could it be like Necromancer and Brood, or like maybe some sort of Reviled and Necromancer, or what? I mean, would there be a combination you'd think you could possibly imagine? Just throwing, you know, stuff at a wall, or what's your thoughts?
For like a Savage Land set specifically, or what the next set
the next set. I mean, I looked through a lot of the cards, and by golly, I cannot figure out. There does not seem to be some sort of, like, the old joke was the flavor text kind of led you to the next thing. There doesn't seem to be anything that I can dissect that would provide any sort of theory crafting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I definitely feel like Monarch 3 just sounds like the correct thing that's going to happen. If it doesn't happen at the beginning of next year, it's going to happen at the end of next year.
Well, but things we know are Aurora's coming out in 2026 or 25.
Yeah, July,
and then didn't they say Dromai was teased to be the 2027 or 26?
Yeah, Dromai is 2027.
Okay.
So that's all we know, and so because I have a feeling that obviously they're just going to make a new Aurora in July of 2026. That leads me to believe that my current understanding is what we'll probably do is we'll probably have a Monarch set, Monarch 3, and then the next set will be like a Tales of Aria, maybe like Old Ones bullshit.
Did you talk to Matt?
But it's
by
like
any chance?
Volthaven.
It's so funny you say that. That's literally what we had. We were sitting outside, and that is the whole reason I picked the mat that I picked for our conversation. Possibly.
I think it tracks, because if they're already talking about bringing back things for Ice because they want, that's the other thing too that's kind of odd, is like Silver Age, while it is a young hero format that cares about just like strictly a budget perspective of things, I think there are a lot of heroes that still can utilize a lot more tools that are in certain talents like Ice. And if there were to be a new set for Aria again, it would be something along the lines of, I think, Volthaven, which is Lightning and Ice, which would provide Aurora to come back, as well as the Return of Icelander, if they're trying to keep that under wraps for anything there. But
and maybe a wizard too. I mean, that would almost fit well. A Lightning Wizard.
Yeah, I mean, and Lightning Wizard, we already have Acilio, so like, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be like a 4-class thing or a 3-class thing or whatever they're going to do. I don't know. I mean, like, I think it would be silly for them to have gone from, I guess this year was Hunted, High Seas, Super Slam. So I have to keep forgetting that Rosetta was 2 years ago.
Bright Lights is 3 years. It's, you know, remind me to talk about Bright Lights here in a second. Finish your statement.
I was actually going to bring it up because I do think that after the whatever set we're going to get with Aurora in it, I think afterwards we'd be going back to Metrics. It's either Metrics or the Pits or both, because they're both in the same area. So I think that's the area we're going to next, just because it's probably, I think it's the least explored one now, because technically the Savage Lands has had 2 sets.
You're saying
the Pits has
metrics?
had one set, and Metrics has had one sex.
Well,
So.
and so that's funny because that was the other opposite thing of what Matt and our group was talking about was that I said, do you think we'll see a mechanologist set coming up? And he said he thinks very highly unlikely because we just got, bright lights. And I was like, just got bright lights. I was like, buddy, bright lights.
Yeah,
right.
I
was getting,
like,
I'm getting the exact date here. I'm going off of Fabry's release schedule here. October of 23. That means October, November, and December. We had just 2 years ago for that set. Now, funny enough, Bright Lights, I believe says it set 8, I believe, right? WTR. Then you got Arcane, Crew, Monarch,
Bright Lights was set like 11 or something.
Everfest. Then you got Uprising, Dynasty, Outsiders, Dusk Till Dawn. Bright Lights is set 11. Okay. So we're on set 17, right?
Yeah.
So on set 18, the first 9 are the first 50%. So it is still dangerously close to being the first 50% of this game's history at this point.
Yeah.
Like at an interesting turning point. Which is also where they introduced, the other thing that's crazy about that, right, is to think that only 2 years ago is when they introduced that whole slot idea, kind of like the lottery, not a lottery system, but just the every box can have expansion slot for stuff, followed by heavy hitters, which is another, we keep circling around heavy hitters, which, it's kind of intriguing, or not heavy hitters, but the arena, deathmatch arena, quite a bit. So,
yeah, I think that they like the concept of the deathmatch arena over because like a brute. Okay, so that's the thing, right? They consider the deathmatch arena to be close enough to where the Savage Lands is to probably be like, this is your Savage Lands set, quote unquote. But we all know that it's kind of in a weird spot in between the Savage Lands and Volcor based on its geography, if I recall correctly. And that is kind of the big difference, is that a Savage Lands set, I think most people would take a look at that and go, this is just going to be Bright Lights with brutes.
Yep. And you'll have people have a sour taste. Some people have a sour taste. That. Some people, well, a lot of people don't like Guardian Pack Mastery. There's a big group of people that just do not enjoy the fact that the only hero you get in there is Volda.
Yeah, but there wasn't a lore thing about that. You know what I mean? Like I think that if you're going to print a set that is only going to have one kind of class in it, then doing a mastery pack thing makes more sense. You don't have to worry about updating lore for stuff.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about doing any of that stuff. It's just like, here's a thing. If you want brute support, it's in this set. You can open up the set. Here you go. But to make a legitimate whole draftable set based around people just playing brute, it's one, got to be good, and two, it has to be actually worth it to like buy into it, right? Because if you're not a brute player, probably don't need any of those cards. If you are a brute player, you probably need 3 copies of every card. If it's a draftable set and they make draft a big thing at the future tier 3, tier 4 events, is it a good draftable set? Because Super Slam is not a tier 3, tier 4 draft event. We're dealing with now it's Living Legend. Yeah. So it's, I don't know. It's an interesting one, but I do think that that's what people are expecting if a Savage Land set is to be made. And I think at that point, it's just better off, like, you're either make a Savage Land set where there's 2 classes and then they can share like new talents or whatever, or you can just make a mastery pack set.
It's funny how the cat really loves when I'm in here talking on this microphone. It's just it's like
she loves you.
I wanna be all up in your business.
She wants to talk to you, but only when you're busy and only when you're doing this.
I know. So with the different variety of history, of these different classes in different regions, man, you're gonna make audio in this just a nightmare, aren't you? You're right. The Bright Lights was they had to create a lot of lore just to be able to get all those heroes. But I still have a special place for Bright Lights, even though a lot of people hated the set, because as a mech player, that was just basically like my holy crap, I get so many new toys set. And that's what I was very excited about. Is that what I know? Okay, we'll parrot you. How about that? And I would think that from there, the next thing I would want to see would be, I don't think we're going to see a lot of single class sets, at least not in my opinion. I think we're going to see a lot more multi-class sets. But, going back to the lore book, the original lore book, the question would be are we going to experience, all those other classes that they had originally talked about? Or are we going to, have a pause on some of these because, Merchant never really got flushed out. Bard never really got flushed out. There's some... Alchemist still isn't here. There's some things they've talked about, but they don't necessarily know if those are going to, be a thing, or I don't know if those are going to be a thing anytime soon. So it's,
yeah. I mean, I think it just comes out to like, if so at this point we know that with Assassin and Necromancer, we know that classes in that book can be explored. Obviously, can all of them be explored? Depends on the context, right? Depends on when they want to come out with them, when the time is right. Is releasing a whole new class, it is quite a lot, and so they could do what they did with Arachne, which is when Arachne came out. There was like next to no support. It was a very basic bare bones deck that couldn't really compete anywhere. And Dynasty. Then you look at Gravy Bones, and Gravy Bones was pushed like so hard. And is just like a really, really powerful deck because they couldn't keep it at like an Arachne level. They're like, well, it's going to be like the premier hero people are going to want to play because everybody's been talking about Necromancer. So like, here you go. And next thing you know, like it's the most powerful deck in the format right out of the box.
But I also think that was a big push to get Magic players into the game. If I had to just arbitrarily say, something out of, left field, I feel Gravy is the closest to a Magic deck other than maybe a Mechanologist deck because of the board permanency. I think that's the closest we've seen. Dromai gets close, right, with the dragons. But
yeah, I would say Dromai was probably the closest. And I also think Dromai does it better in reality of that, because with Gravy, that's the thing. Dromai took, and I'm not, this is going to sound like I'm debasing everybody who ever played Dromai, and I don't believe that because I also played Dromai. Dromai didn't take a whole lot of like insane skill for you to play her as a hero. You could pick up Dromai for fairly cheap, and just like as long as you knew that you had Ash, you could make a dragon on the board. You pay the cost, play the card, it makes the dragon. But in Gravy, you have to get the ally in grave, and then you have to play a blue, and then you have to pitch to play with the ally, and then you have to attack with the ally, and then maybe you have another thing to give the ally go again or get another action point. So you have action point generation. There's far too much in Gravy initially right out of the gate for new players who have even just played Magic to come in and be like, oh, I get it. This all makes sense to me now. Like, this is exactly what I want. So
I handed a brand new player, because we got one new player to our armory, I handed him my Puffin deck after he watched me play it against him. And watching, I said, this is the Rube Goldberg machine. Because, I had 6 gold tokens, 7, copper cogs, 6, golden cogs, a bunch of counters on the table that said tapped. Some of them said, steam counters with 1 or 2. You had equipment you were tracking, your deck, your hand, the weapons, and just the combat chain. It was just madness. I mean, when I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, what am I missing? How do I get this line? And then it's like, okay, I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to do this. I'm going to tap these, draw a card, get a card, do this. In my deck, I have a E-Strike. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll do XYZ, play this, get 2 actions, crank, do a bunch of things. And it's just like, boom, boom, boom. And like, here's this big card. Here's this big card. And he's just like, what the hell just happened? And it's just like, it was wild. But when it bricks hard. Like, I had a hand that I was facing a Rhinar, and he was like, Blood Rush Bellows, intimidate. And I'm like, cool. He's like, you don't mind? I'm like, I have a hand of 4 items. Like, I wasn't blocking anything anyways. Like, and it's just like your life total goes just from a really high number to single digits really quick. And you're like, oh, crap. So, yeah.
Yep.
So from a celebratory standpoint, possibly new Silver Age stuff, maybe some product announcements, maybe a teaser video, some things like that. Do you think they're gonna? I mean, they can't always continue to outdo themselves. Like, I think at a certain point, right? There's enough's enough kind of a thing. Do you see them? I think the roadmap stuff, like you said, I think that's gonna probably end up being more of a world's keynote presentation, I feel. So
yeah.
So within the scope of that, I don't know what they're, unless they specifically focus this all around Silver Age and the decisions, and maybe doing some dev talks around why we should all feel good that our cards are, our commons are now going to be, extra special because, they now have a house to live in, right? I don't know. Like,
I hope. I mean, it's definitely at least some understanding as to if there are changes to the Project Blue format, maybe like the inception of the format, why they decided to come up with something like Project Blue and make it like a community-based testing field, and then like literally never release it to beta, but immediately push it. Like it wasn't like okay, cool, because they were very clear in like, alpha testing is going to happen. It's only going to happen in New Zealand. Nowhere else is there going to be alpha testing. We're not taking in data from anything else from anywhere in alpha testing, because the only people who are playing it who have like in-paper experience with it are going to be the folks in New Zealand. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So eventually maybe we'll see it get pushed to beta, and then they can even just like release it as a gem thing. And then that way stores can run gem events in armories as Project Blue, and that data can then get pushed to LSS for them to know, what's looking like what during the games and so on and so forth. But it didn't even hit beta. They said alpha testing's done. We're closing down the beta stuff. Hold tight. It might never move to beta. It might. We'll see what happens. And then literally, I don't know, 2 weeks later at the event, I think it was I think it was Singapore maybe. It was just like, boom, here you go, Silver Age.
I have a feeling that there was enough data in advance that they were just making sure the community wasn't going to explode by doing that, right? Looking at the fan-made formats, Clash, looking at Commoner, looking at Blitz, right? There were 3 that were trying to vibe for about the same core audience, and they were kind of sometimes getting split. Maybe, again, around here, almost everybody plays CC. There is some Living Legend that happens. I mean, we had a couple Living Legend nights, but really it's not, in my opinion, it's not that interesting. I'm not a huge fan of Living Legend because my heroes literally just cannot compete in those at all. It is just walk
What are you
over.
talking about? You can play High Octane and Dio.
I could play Dio, yes, but when you compare that to the skill level of the individuals with the stacking and the ability for them to do the things they're doing, because I am not to that skill level, it is not as not I have about a 0.1% chance of actually crossing that finish line successfully with that race. But
well, Jacob, that only comes with practice. I'm not telling you that you should be playing LL, because frankly I think it's a pretty jokey format still right now. But at the end of the day, I get to play Dromai.
My first experience with LL, man, was back when that coaxing thing was going on. It was starve over, 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 starve over. And it was like, what is this? Like, is this a joke? Like, I know it's not that 100% right now, but it still sometimes feels like that is the, the thing.
I mean, Starvo's certainly still a very good hero to be playing in the Living Legend format. But, sure. I mean, I think that's effectively what we're looking at here with Living Legend, and this is where I hope LSS is a lot more consistent with their bans. Is that what we don't want to see? that we see in Commoner is like the perfect capsule of what not to do with a format.
Okay.
Because Ira has been the best deck in format since I have started playing the game in Commoner. Period. Like, bar none, it's Ira or it was Icelander. Then they took Icelander's weapon away. Now Icelander's unplayable in Commoner. But Ira didn't get touched at all, outside of the fact that she doesn't get to play Zephyr Needles now. That's it. Ira is still the best. And they have not done anything. LSS has not done anything to stunt that, because it doesn't matter, right? It's a side event format that they give out a gold foil for every now and again. Nobody really, they're not doing battle hardens and callings and all this. They did one battle harden for Commoner, one, and it was like, all right, cool. The top 8 did not showcase that the format was intuitive or unique in any way. It was like 5 Ira and an Icelander, an Oldhim, and something else. It's how it's been every single time. If that were to happen with Living Legend, that's what is going to cause more and more people to not want to play that format, because you don't want it to be stale.
Sure.
If it becomes stale and you can only play one of 3 heroes, or you might as well not even worry about competing. Chain. Yeah. Chain, Viscerai, Briar, Starvo. Like, those are your
and that,
3 big
that is
dogs.
that
your
is
4
the
big
field
dogs
I
in
would be
format.
against in Living Legend mostly, which again, more power to them. They, I will still firmly say I feel in my heart of hearts that there will come a day in the near future that they can no longer do a ban carte blanche across everything, and they are going to need to do, in this class these cards are banned, in this hero these cards are banned or restricted. I feel that would make the game much more enjoyable, and maybe would allow for other things to come back, because maybe you could have, Max have access to something that Dash would abuse, or vice versa, and that would then allow them to create cards that are specifically without the word specialization on them, or what. It would get complicated, to get a little bit hard to do. Do you want to open a box of cards? Is that what you're doing? The cat has laid on the table next to this box of cards and is cuddling the box of cards.
Oh my god. I'm so jealous. My sweet little baby. But yeah, I don't know. I think they have to do a lot to the Living Legend format to truly make it like a deeper thing. But right now, it's kind of a joke. I think that you're going to see a lot of that in Worlds, at the World Championship, because it's a part of the whole system of in the World Championships that you have to play LL. So I think we'll be very I think it'll be very eye-opening still to a lot of people that there are changes that will need to be made. Now, of course, there is a ban list that's happening, like, I don't know, 4 days before Worlds or something like that. So that's kind of interesting that we're getting at that level. But
so what would you say? Excuse you. I'm trying to have a conversation. What would you say that the number one positive thing that can come out of this announcement, or the number one negative thing? What would be the thing you do not want to hear, and the thing you would want to hear? What could those 2 items be? Oh no, you're not gonna.
I mean, I'm happy to hear anything about Silver Age. If a bad thing,
just trying to be real. Like, I mean, I could always think about, hey, what's going to be the cool positive thing that you're going to do? But like, at the same time, sometimes things are unpopular, and I'm just trying to think of what could be theoretically something that might originally start as something that would be popular but may not be.
I don't know. They could announce that the next set is an illusionist only set. That'll probably be pretty unpopular amongst a lot of people. Freaking I think a lot of it's going to come down to the dev talk.
No, is
and
the
it's
dev talk at
probably
the
gonna
same time?
be-
The dev talk is at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. James and Brian have a dev talk there. I'd imagine there's going to be some dev talk topics that are not going to go over well with many people.
Like the
probably
test
just
hero, the test hero that they showed or whatever.
Yeah, like the test hero stuff. If that even gets brought up, I don't think they'll get brought up at all. But
I still don't
I
understand
think
what
more
made
so
that
just
hero
like
bad.
the design
Like-
space. Yeah, I think it's just I think it's just really the design space. I know that I have a local who moved to Japan recently. Shout out Alexis if you listen to this at all. She is really big into like a hyper fatigue control strategy, and that just doesn't really exist in Fab right now to the level that she wants. And every single thing that the devs talk about, that new articles, new heroes, any of that gets talked about, they all kind of center around that like aggro is what they're looking to push towards forever. And there's never going to be this like rip 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, right? Like Snyder, right? The test hero was like, that was like what would have been a super insane good control deck. And it just does not exist.
Is that why people didn't like Count Your Blessings? Is it just made it impossible to? Does the game drug out the time too often?
Yeah, I think. Well, it's just because it's not. And this is the weird part, right? If you put 2 aggro matches together, it tends to be quite fun because it's like, okay, cool, you're getting down to the wire. Now these 2 aggro decks have to make very minute decisions about each of their points of value over the course of their hand, and what do they block with? Did they draw 2 3 blocks and 2 2 blocks, or did they draw 4 2 blocks? Like, this is going to change the course of their game, like this, that, and the other. But like two fatigue matches, like 2 fatigue heroes, is very much so like, all right, this is going to go to time. And there's not going to be anything exciting going on throughout the course of the game. It's going to be, I play my cards and heal myself. You play your cards, heal yourself. You block, I block. We send our weapon attacks at each other until eventually one of us runs out of deck and the person with more life and more cards in deck wins. And that's not as exciting to watch. Now, do I think that LSS should design an entire game about how fun it is to watch? No. But
They
do
are getting
also
really big on their live streams, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like it's becoming more of a thing to watch in that scenario. But I do think that they shouldn't abolish that kind of game plan. Something that I've actually recently started playing in Classic Constructed is Arachne Huntsman.
Okay.
And Arachne Huntsman is very interesting because the deck plays on a different axis than most other decks do, right? In many situations, a deck deals damage to your opponent, and your goal is to get them to 0 life. But Arachne's is, I'm going to block out reactively by things like Hunter Hunted, the new D-React that they got, to strip cards from your deck. And then my on-hits also strip cards from your deck. Even if I leak 1 point of damage through, sure, it's not getting you closer to 0, but it's removing 1 threat from your deck. Mm-hmm. So it's playing on a different axis than any other hero is, in which it does not care about the amount of damage it deals to you. It just matters that it threatens cards out of your opponent's deck. And then eventually, when they have no more threats left, and they cannot present that large amount of damage to you, you can continue to send the rest of your deck, which is a bunch of 4 costs or 4 power attacks and 6 power attacks, and you just kind of slam your opponent down and get over any defense that they might have left. So in that axis, it is a very interesting deck. It's the reason why I like playing it so much. It's probably the closest thing I'd imagine to being Fatigue in the game currently. But really, like, it comes down to like Fatigue into aggro. Aggro players want to do their thing by playing the cards in their hand, and Fatigue players say, remove 3 cards from your hand, put that last card in your arsenal, and pass. And that's just kind of the way fatigue plays, which again is not like the most enjoyable experience, but I don't think removing fatigue from the game entirely is the correct choice. I think finding that different axis to put fatigue on makes more sense.
And that, yeah, I mean, the whole interesting thing about having unique heroes to play against is there's a difference in how they try to achieve victory. I don't personally enjoy some of their ways they achieve it. Like, as an example, I went against a Kasai the other day, and as Puffin, right, there is basically very little I can do to prevent any on hits or buffing from occurring because there's just no way I can overblock everything. And even when I choose to do that, it's still going to, I'm still going to, buff this by 2 or 3 or 4. So yeah, I'm leaking 1 or 2 damage. Oh, and by the way, I get a Centauri Cell Sword. Oh, and by the way, my daggers are free. So I'm going wide, just like you're going wide, but I'm leaking damage and you're dumping 2 to 3 cards in your hand. So you, in that case, have nothing to come back to me at. And that's a kind of probably a specific pointed example, but like that is the way that match goes for my particular deck. And even if I threw D-Reacts in, not really sure I'd really be able to do that too often because it's just the nature of every card in that deck is designed to send 1 or 2 cards over, buff the crap out of a card, kind of like Fang is another good example of that. Dory's another good example of that. That class is just all about reactionary stuff, and cool. That's just the way that, class functions, that warrior classes, here's a small thing. I'm going to be tricky and do something above and beyond it. And when I do, I get an extra special bonus benefit. I am bleeding. Okay. Sorry. But, that's what they do. They cut you to death. They just go slick. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
It's, I think that a deck like that, I mean, each class has their own strengths, right? Like Warrior has a lot of really good armor potential and also swings with their weapons more than they do attack actions. So they can remove attack actions from their deck and utilize more reactions in that scenario.
Yep.
And while that makes it very difficult to be like, all right, how much should I be blocking on this, that, and the other? When you take a look at Mechanologist, right? You have the capability of playing Palantir Aeronaut and swinging at your opponent and taking, like if you're like, okay, cool, give me a piece of equipment. All right, awesome. I'm going to tap 3 cogs and blow up that piece of equipment. Like, could you imagine removing a Valiant Dynamo from your opponent?
If they give it to you.
Like,
I mean, that's the other thing. I've noticed that almost every time I've been able to pull that off, and again, I'm not shitting on the card because it is a fun card, but I always get something like the helmet or like the card that has already been leveraged for what it is and it has blade break anyway, so it's going to blow up, and it's just like, screw it, okay, and you're going to do that. But it is strategic. It's just how it works. So your idea is you got 3 of those things. Can you do it 3 times? Maybe. I mean, then you're turning in more to the kind of Jarl component. So
yeah, and I mean, of course you can do it 3 times. You play things like Backup Protocol. You can go ahead and get back. You pay 2 to get a Palantir Aeronaut back to your hand effectively. Like there are ways to recur, but it's also the damage. When I consider mech, right, I'm taking it to look specifically from like a Dio perspective. Dio presents like, if Dio gets like the right top 3 cards of their deck and also the correct 4 cards, even when they don't, it's still pretty good. Like they're still sending like 20 some damage if you're really like pushing through that. So it's like, okay, cool, send in 4, they block 3, you activate a boom grenade off the top of your deck. Now it's 5 damage that you just dealt, right? And then it's another 6 with throttle, and then another 5 with zipper hit, and then it's pitch to Tekla Foundry Heart, get 2 floating, send max V for 10. And it's like, if you're able to do stuff like that, like that's at a level in which, like, sure, Warrior can block out a good portion of that, but then they don't get that turn, and then you get the tempo, right? So each class has their own like benefits and ways to be better, but I do think that it can be hard, especially, I mean, most of your deck is attack actions, and so when you're blocking a Centauri Sellsword, with an attack action, they get the pump, and then they also get the other value off of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is an interesting system.
Yeah.
So to wrap out and bookend everything, this announcements are coming. Be curious to see what comes out. You think Worlds is going to have maybe some more juicy tidbits? What's this is year 6. What do you see if you had to fast forward? What do you see the 10-year? What do you see that the game will look like or be like in 4 years from now, in year 10? What crazy thing can we not think about?
That we can't think about? I mean, like, the only thing I could imagine is, like, that would be insane, is that Silver Age gets so popular because you don't have to pay into CC that it becomes the more popular format across the course of the United States, and overtakes CC. If that were the case, that would be nuts. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think truly in a 10-year plan...
Well, not 10 years from now, but like the next 4 years, which means that it would be their 10th anniversary.
Right, like 2-year 10, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine the prize pool is probably going to go up to 2 million because it's at 1.5 right now. There'll probably be another Necromancer in the game.
Frankie.
Which would be awesome. Not Frankie, but a different Necromancer. And then...
Oh, sorry.
I don't know what else. I think right now we'll figure out if there's going to be a new lore book. That's what
I hope we get something, because man, I still want an original one, but I don't know. That's that ship may have almost sailed at this point.
Yeah. Not too much. I mean, there's not. I don't think that Flesh and Blood. Maybe there's an. Gosh, if there's like media for the game, that would be wonderful. Like a show or a book, like actual like media to utilize would be wonderful. If that was to come out in the next 4 years, that would be sweet.
I know there were some people that were pretty poo-poo on that at one point, like the kind of like MetaZoo was trying to do like the multi, style thing. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they did, like, I mean, I don't know if they do a live action or an anime cartoon, right? I mean, it would be really hard to animate something, I think, but at the same time, they got a lot of talented artists. I'm sure they could easily do something. So,
yeah, and I mean, I think the other thing is like they have the income to make something like that happen, and if it's gonna, I'm not expecting like a 17 season long series of a show or whatever the hell.
Yeah,
right?
It's got to be
like
20, duh, not 17.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even if it's like short 10-minute videos on like new lore drops, like right before they announce like a new set, they give us like a small animated piece where it's like, Kasai arrives at the gates of Volcor and kicks him down and says, "I'm here to beat the shit out of those people who beat the shit out of my dad." And and Dromai sitting there on top of the throne, just like, okay, well, no. And then they like fight it out, and then it's like, wait a minute, what does this mean? And then we get a Volcor set. It's like,
what if Dromai were like, "Come on into my deathmatch arena," just like,
yeah, right. Come on into the pit. Let's get killer.
I could just see that'd be like a Borderland mashup or something. That'd be like,
I guess that's the one thing I hope doesn't happen in 4 years is I hope the game doesn't get silly.
Oh, you don't want any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle mashups?
No, I don't. If any other IP tries to sneak its way into this game, I'm gonna cry. Like genuinely, I think is going to be the nail in the coffin for a lot of people. But I don't expect that to be the case. They've been pretty good about their IP and making sure that it's prominent.
Well, this is one of the few games that their IP is unique and it's original. It wasn't pre-established. I mean, they are building this from the ground up with a complete blank slate. They could add, anything they want. We don't really have any non-humanoid-ish like bug set. Like, I'm thinking like Space Marines, like 40K versus Tyranids, or like Zergling. We don't have like a bug type hero or something, or I don't know how that would work, but like some sort of caster or
I mean, we do.
Yeah, okay,
we do.
Arachne, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely do. We definitely do have that.
Like dwarves.
We also have.
Hot take, by the way. Dwarves. We're gonna get dwarves.
Anvilheim would be sick next year, or 2 years from now. Even Anvilheim would be sick if we go to Anvilheim. But I was gonna bring up the thing. Crix, Groundbreaker Crix in Smash Palace is a centaur. Like that's definitely not a human. So.
I really hope that we don't abandon. I hope we
sure.
don't abandon. Like that's my final sign off for this episode is going to be, I hope they do not abandon UPF. I hope that Smash Palace, while it is a board game in a box, could be their hoorah to see if there's any casual interest. But I listened to a Flukenbox video recently, and it was about an hour long. I think it was a pretty long one. I don't know if you listened to that one or not, but. Basically, one of the things he had commented is LSS is a very competitive game, so they're focusing a lot on the competitiveness and building that competitive brand and everything. And I do agree, but I disagree with what he was. There's a lot of nuances here, so this is not the summary of his whole video. You have to kind of listen to really kind of dive into it, but the casual side, there doesn't seem to be a casual side, and it doesn't seem to be a pickup. And he kind of made a comment he couldn't get anybody to really place or buy the Smash Palace stuff where he was at, which is intriguing because, I mean, technically the only people that would really be interested in that would be either a board gamer group or, someone that wants it specifically to play UPF for the heroes, because outside of that, it's just a Guardian Mastery pack. So if you're not in Guardian, you really don't need it. So there's some questions I have that's very different than when they came out with the crossover with Tolarian Community College, right? So I don't know where that whole product line and things will shift and end and whatever. But I hope that it's not done. I hope that my merchants and my silver palms will have homes, and my alchemist trinkets will be able to come to the light of day at some point. But I don't know, and that's. I think I'm just going to look at the Silver Age stuff right now and say, okay, cool. What can we do in Silver Age? Because baby steps.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably a pretty good call. I think it really comes down to like finding a home to play what you want. And I mean, it goes even with Blitz, right? Blitz is still a format. They didn't abolish the format of Blitz. You can still play Blitz at your armory or at an on-demand event or whatever. And the same goes for any of these other formats that aren't like the main ones.
I just don't know a lot of folks around here personally that will play Blitz.
And there aren't many who will. I mean, there aren't many here in the States that play it. I mean, not even Blitz too. I mean, like UPF. You've got a lot of stuff that just like does not see play. You would need to highly incentivize players to be able to go in and pay a fee for an armory night to play UPF, because it's a Blitz format, notably, and also it just is not what people play when they play Flesh and Blood. Like a 4-player thing tends to not be their vibe. A lot of people have moved from Commander because Commander was like the only thing that Magic is doing as like a popular thing. And they were like, well, I wanted a more 1v1 competitive nature thing. And then they go, here's UPF.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit. All right. Well,
for
I guess
our Super Slam,
I don't really want to do that.
We did a 6-person UPF event with the agreement that everybody would get a gem pack regardless, just for the fun of it. Like, it's that way,
right?
Why not? Screw it. Smash Palace, smash. It's like,
yeah.
So
yeah. there's ways to do. I mean, like I think that what they're doing with Smash Palace is good. Again, I think that event deck really changes the way people want to actually play UPF. I think that I don't know if you saw it. There's an article that
They just
Cash
posted.
I think came out with.
Correct. Yeah.
That was like super cool. It was just like, here's 4 deck lists or 6 deck lists for all the different Guardians you can play in the Smash Palace set that are pretty much around the same core concept, except like 20 of the cards are based around like the hero power and what they're supposed to try and do.
Yep.
And that gave for a really like, it's like, cool. That's a cube. That's the equivalent of a cube.
Correct.
You just bring those 6 decks around. You put down the event deck stuff and say, hey, let's play UPF. Roll a 1 through 6 on the 6-sided dice, and that's who you're going to play.
Well,
and
in that bag I showcased earlier that I bring to Armory, the event deck is in there, the 6 UPF heroes is in there, and I make sure that that's always available. Granted, I know those 6 heroes are Guardian, but we could still use that event deck if we wanted to sit down and play with 4 other random decks we had, whether it's CC
exactly
or whatever.
Yeah, you can do it with anything, right? You can do it with anything. And I think that's the creative nature of people who want to play something more casual in Flesh and Blood. They make that happen. I mean, one of our locals has made a super intense, like awesome cube that is just like such a fun experience to play. If you ever want to like simulate what a draft experience looks like having a cube is really good. You get to play that just naturally. You don't have to worry about doing a buy-in or like any of that. It's just like all the same cards from his collection, and he just sets them out as a cube. I know that I have toyed with the idea of making like a High Seas UPF Treasure Island Bonanza system where it's just like all the crazy cards from High Seas that are only ever used in draft because they're only limited cards, like the expedition cards.
Oh yeah.
And just making the same thing, but for Treasure Island, right? You have all 4 heroes available. And you just get to play it all out. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for the community to make that the prevalent thing they want to do, and casual players will find a way. They always have, they always will. But what is being pushed is obviously competitive play, because this is the most competitive card game on the market. So it's probably going to be more of a on the wayside thing. Like, do you just want to get together with your friends and have pizza? Here is a UPF game you can play, and you can bring it to your friend's house.
And with that competitive nature in mind, remember, you're watching this on Anything But Competitive, which is the joke, because that's, I don't know, I have a love-hate with that name. After I, listened to it for, about 2 weeks, I was like, I picked a name, and then everybody was like, this game is all competitive, bro. I'm like, I'm down for the competitive. And I'm like, but I want to have fun. And this is, anticlimactically the name that nobody wants. It's like, but it's fun in a box, and it's like, so anyway, I'm not sold on keeping it, but I do like the ABCs of Fab. So if you like that and you want to hang out, we're here, we'll have fun, we'll talk with you. But just have fun.
Yeah.
Regardless, it could be like the Banana Podcast, and it'd still be about Fab and fun and just enjoy. That's.
Bananas, the podcast. You're listening to Bananas, the podcast.
God, I swear,
host.
You can get anybody on Fiverr to say anything. It is weird as hell. You can throw scripts at people and they will just say stuff, and you're like, "What did I just pay for?"
I have genuinely thought about just listing myself on Fiverr to be like, yeah, sure, send me a small
voiceover,
paragraph script and $10, and I'll make it happen. I'll say whatever you need me to say.
Yep. Well, I think I'm going to be signing out for this episode. So, Alex, thank you for hanging out. I'm going to try to get this out before the actual Sunday night for the U.S., Monday morning for New Zealand, because I think it's Sunday at it's going to be 5 p.m. according to what I'm reading. So I think it'll go several hours. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch the whole thing, but we'll see. So yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and check it out then. It'll be on the Flesh and Blood YouTube channel. So if you do want to check it out, it should be on there, and they've got all their time schedules and everything up. So it'll be good. They're doing some giveaways too. So that's
fun. Tell us how right or wrong we were. That's what I want to know. So. The wronger the better.
Yeah. Cool.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.